Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. What an honor and a pleasure to be back on with the best fans in the NFL, the faithful, the Niner Empire. And what a time to be a 49er fan. The 49ers are currently NFC West champions. And I'm going to show a little bit of history about the NFC West champions over the last decade. And this is a great accomplishment. Is it the end goal? Is it the ultimate goal for the San Francisco 49ers and the fan base? No, but it is one goal that we have obtained. And huge shout out. I hope everyone's having a wonderful holiday season. Feel free to hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Share the video. Let people know about Jay in the Bay. I would appreciate it. And this is the last weekend before Christmas. How is everyone doing? Have you finished your holiday shopping? I would love to know. I'm more of a Amazon type of guy. I like to order my stuff online. I don't really like to go into the crowds and things like that. But yeah, what do you guys like to do? You guys more into seeing what you buy in person, grabbing it, feeling it before you purchase, or are you more of a online shopper? I would love to know. But last weekend before Christmas, obviously a great time to be alive, to be around family and all that good stuff. But wanted to briefly talk about the 49ers and the NFC West champions over the last decade. So if you look at this little graphic I have set up, let me blow this up, make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. But the Seahawks, the Rams, pretty much every team has won the NFC West within the last, 10 years. And the 49ers have only won it, pretty much two times in the last 10 years. So this is a big deal, faithful. And like I said before, it's not the ultimate goal. It's not, Super Bowl number 6, of course, but this is a big deal. It guarantees a home playoff game for the San Francisco 49ers in Levi Stadium. So, this is a big deal. Obviously, we know Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson, they had their run, and now that's over. The Rams had basically 3 years in the last 10, but it's nice for the 49ers to finally win the NFC West and be the best team in the NFC West. And, the NFC West is a division that is currently kind of in some shambles. I mean, if we look at the current standings in the division, there are a few teams that aren't doing so well. And it's kind of surprising, Faithful. I don't know how you feel, but I'm definitely surprised by what I see in the standings. I mean, going into this year, I thought this would be one of the best divisions in the NFL. That's what I was thinking. Obviously, the Rams have their struggles with Stafford going out with an injury. Cooper Kupp has an injury. The Cardinals have been struggling all year. Kyler Murray, unfortunately, got a torn ACL. And then the Seahawks were better than I think we kind of all thought. But it's definitely good to see the 49ers at the top of the division. And this is a interactive show, of course. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And I will be reading comments all throughout the show. But Faithful, the 49ers are NFC West champions. How do you feel about that, Faithful? Feel free to let me know your thoughts in them comments. And let's read a few comments. We have Mariah, 49 faithfully. What's good? How you doing today, Mariah? I hope all is well on a Saturday afternoon. I'm thankful that you guys have clicked on my YouTube channel just to check out Jay in the Bay. I appreciate it, especially on a Saturday where you could be doing a lot of other things, but I appreciate it. We got Roberto in the building. What's good? Appreciate you tuning into the stream today, Roberto. Hope all is well. Roberto says, number one, faithful, it's all ours. Exactly. And that is definitely something I wanted to talk about today. Obviously, we'll talk about the 49ers latest news, winning the division. We'll talk about the Seahawks game as well. But just the journey of this 49ers team got off to I would say, yeah, I mean, no one thought we would lose to Chicago. So I would technically say we got off to a slow start. We were 3-4 at one point in the season, and then we just kind of turn things around. And like they say, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And we're definitely a long way from finishing the season, but I think we're right at the, 3/4 mark of the season. But I mean, we can't play any better. I don't see, especially on a 7-game win streak. We got a tough game against Washington next week, Christmas Eve. But yeah, man, I think we're firing on all cylinders right now. And we may get a few players back before the end of the regular season, I hope. Payo time, what's good? How you doing, Payo time, man? It's been a long time. Payo time, obviously, he is a Canadian Rams fan, has his own YouTube channel. Payo time says, hello, Jay. Congratulations to the Faithful and the Niners for the NFC West crown. Yeah, man, appreciate that. And we are 5-0 in the division. Can we sweep the division? I don't remember. When was the last time? Maybe someone could help me in the chat. But when was the last time the 49ers swept the NFC West division? Honestly, at the top of my head, I can't remember. If I had to guess, I don't think we've done it in the Shanahan era. I don't think the 49ers have ever swept the NFC West division in the Shanahan era. Possibly when Harbaugh was head coach, but honestly, I don't know. Maybe someone can help me out in the chat. But I appreciate that coming from you, Pale Time. Appreciate that. Obviously, the Ram season didn't go you guys' way, but man, I appreciate that. Hey, Zeus, what's good? Appreciate you coming into the stream today. Hey, Zeus, hope all is well. We got John in the building. What's good? Appreciate you tuning into the stream, John. How is your Saturday going? And has everyone finished their Christmas shopping? I would love to know. I'm pretty much done. Usually I like to wait to the end of the last week before Christmas Day to get my Christmas shopping done. But this year, I was like, nah, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to wait until the last minute. So I was able to get my Christmas shopping done earlier. But how about you? You guys done with your Christmas shopping, or you haven't even gotten started? I would love to know. Let's see. We have Payo Time says shopping is all done, and yeah, I shop online except for food. Yeah, man, I'm the same way. I just don't really like going into the stores if I don't have to. Like, obviously, I'll price compare Amazon, or I look at Target to see if they're carrying the same thing. What's the price difference? But yeah, especially around the holiday season, the flu is going around like crazy. If I don't have to go into the store, I definitely don't want to, if I don't feel the need to. And hey, Zeus brings up a great point talking about them Colts and them Vikings. Man, I don't know what the Vikings are doing. I mean, the Vikings had a huge victory versus the Buffalo Bills a few weeks ago. I think that was in an overtime game too, I think. But it looks like they're going to lose 2 straight games. Obviously, the 49ers and the Vikings are neck and neck in the NFC conference standings. And let's pull that up right now so everyone can see the NFC conference standings. Obviously, this does not take into effect the Vikings loss today. I mean, I think the game's almost over. But yeah, this is the current standings. And obviously, you want to be the highest seed you can be. So obviously the Eagles are up top at 12-1, and the Vikings are next at 10-3. But look at this Vikings team. Look at this right here, Faithful. They've scored 312 points, but they've allowed 313 points. How the hell is this Vikings team 10-3? I don't get it. I don't understand how they're 10-3. Obviously, they won a lot of close games, and hey, that's part of the fabric of your team. That's part of the character of your team. I get that. But you look at the 49ers, we've scored 338 points and only given up 210. So clearly, our defense is 100 points better than the Minnesota Vikings. But the Vikings will lose today. They'll be 10-4. They'll be tied with the 49ers. But I believe the 49ers do have a better conference record. So the 49ers would be the number 2 seed. And basically, if we win out, then we should be able to capture that number 2 seed. And I believe the Eagles would still have the advantage because they're first. They would have the first round bye. But I believe that means we would have at least 2 home games in the playoffs if we're the number 2 seed, I believe, as long as we win, of course. But yeah, I mean, this is great for the 49ers that the Vikings are completely melting down at home against the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, come on, Vikings, what are y'all doing? What are they doing, man? But this is part of the reason why I'm not really scared of Kirk Cousins. Now, okay, well, the game is in the fourth quarter, 11 minutes left. The Colts are only up 36-21. So it seems like the Vikings are attempting a comeback. So you never know. You never know. But definitely we'll have to keep an eye on that for sure. That's for sure. Let's see. John says our depth in all positions helped us this season for sure. Absolutely. I mean, we've dealt with tons of injuries, to the secondary, to the defensive line, to running backs. Isn't that a story that's always happening every year, John? And the rest of the faithful, there's always injuries to the running back room. There's always injuries to the defensive line. And that's why when we traded away Jeff Wilson Jr., I was like, what are we doing, Faithful? Why would you trade away one of your most, healthiest running backs, one of your most productive running backs? And I understand that Jeff Wilson Jr. wanted out. I get it. But, that was definitely a little bit of a surprise. But, obviously the move of the year was getting CMC, and he's not on a 1-year rental. He's on a deal for the next 3 years with the 49ers. So, obviously, and that's something else I want to get into, talking about Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's journey. We'll definitely get into that later on in the show. But yeah, depth is key. Depth is key. That's for sure. Eric in the building. What's good? Appreciate you, Eric. He says, hey, Jay, what's good? Congratulations on winning the division. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible accomplishment. And basically over the last, 10 years, the 49ers have won the division 3 times. So I think that's great. It's also back-to-back seasons where the 49ers will go to the playoffs. That's the first time that's happened in the Shanahan era. So, that's pretty good. Chris Smith, what's good? I think Chris Smith is answering the question I had earlier for the chat. When was the last time? Now, let me say, the 49ers right now are 5-0 versus the NFC West in this regular season. And if we beat the Cardinals at the end of the year, we'll be 6-0. We'll be undefeated in the regular season. And I was just wondering, hey, when was the last time that happened? I don't think that's happened in the Shanahan era, possibly Harbaugh. Chris Smith says 2008, I think. So maybe someone else can confirm that in the chat. When was the last time the 49ers when was the last time the 49ers swept the NFC West division? I would love to know. And Corey Davis, what's good? What's good, KD? How you doing on this Saturday? KD says that Colts are up 36-21 on the Vikings. Hopefully the Colts can keep that lead, so that way the 49ers can slip into that number 2 playoff spot. Hey, Jesus says, why aren't the NFL games today on regular TV? Yeah, I think the games are on. I think the Colts and Vikings game is on the NFL Network. And I'm not sure about the other games. I think they do that because, the NFL Network obviously has rights to some NFL games, and they want you to get that package, man. They want you to upgrade to that good old NFL Network package. So I think that's probably why, it all comes down to that money. Now, the Ravens and Browns play later today, and I'm not sure if that's coming on the NFL Network as well, or actually, well, it looks like this game is going to be, it should be on NBC. The Ravens and Browns game that comes on at 1:30. And I think there's another game that comes on at 5:15, the Bills and Dolphins. That should be a pretty good game, but I'm not sure what network that's going on. Eric says, I actually finished a long time ago. And you're talking about your Christmas shopping. Okay, good, man. I don't blame you. Obviously, it's better to get it done sooner. You might be able to get more deals, or hey, you might be able to get more deals if you wait last minute. But I changed the trend this year. I decided to just get my Christmas shopping done earlier and not wait to the last minute. So I appreciate your response, Eric. We got Cowboy Angel in the building. What's good? Cowboy Angel says, "Woo woo, go Niners!" Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, where this team came from, starting out the season 3-4, losing, two starting quarterbacks on the year. I mean, what team is starting their third string quarterback, a rookie at that, a Mr. Irrelevant quarterback, and this team is dare I say, looking better than the other two quarterbacks. Like, I mean, who does that? I mean, you got to give credit to Kyle Shanahan. You got to give credit to John Lynch. Obviously, John Lynch assembled this team, and we'll definitely get into some of the players he picked up, some of the players we decided not to pick up. But yeah, Kyle Shanahan with his leadership and the veteran players in the locker room were allowed to keep this team together, even though things weren't looking too well at 3-4. That's for sure. And we needed a must-win game versus the Rams. I think that was in LA, and that got us to 500. So yeah, it's definitely been a trying season, but like everyone says, like, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So definitely glad to be where we're at now. We got David McNew, or excuse me, he changed his name to David McNiner. All right. What's good? David says, "What's good, Jay? Vikings are trying to come back." I saw that, man. The Colts better hold on. I think it's 36-21, in the fourth quarter, with like 10 minutes left. So yeah, make sure hopefully the Colts can keep that lead. Appreciate that, KD. You're too kind, KD. He says Jay in the Bay is the GOAT, man. I appreciate that. Seahawks Eddie, what's good? What's good, Seahawks Eddie? How you doing today, man? He says, "What's up, Jay in the Bay? Good game." Yeah, that was a good game, and this is a perfect segue, into the game. That was a raucous Seattle Seahawk, atmosphere, and we know that's what to expect from the 12th man. They were loud, they were proud. I'm sure they stood up the entire game. I think the crowd um, were responsible for some of the penalties that the 49ers had. I saw a few false starts, and that's because, hey, they can't hear. If you're Trent Williams, you're on the end of the line, you can't hear the snap because it's so loud. You literally have to look to your right to see when the ball is snapped. So, yeah, I mean, the Seattle Seahawks, the crowd was lit. And I don't remember the last time we swept the Seahawks. I'm sure it's been quite some time, but to win the NFC West division on the road with a rookie quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. And especially to do it against a division rival, a hated division rival in the Seattle Seahawks. We know the battles that they've had. And yeah, it was a great win. It should have been a lot more points, I feel. I think it definitely should have been a lot more points, but win is a win. Obviously, that Nick Bosa penalty when he got the sack was just atrocious. I mean, NFL, what are you doing? I mean, how do you he made a tackle on Geno Smith. It didn't look vicious. It didn't look like he threw him to the ground, but they want you to sack the quarterback, but not put your weight on him. And I get it. For those that have been watching the NFL a long time, if you can remember the play, I think it was the AFC probably championship game. It was between the Ravens and Raiders. And I think Tony Siragusa sacked Rich Gannon, and he did like a belly flop on him. Like, I understand the NFL wants to, eradicate those type plays, right? I totally get that, but the Nick Bosa sack on Geno Smith was nothing like that. And I get it. You want to protect the quarterback, whatever, but I just felt like that call was BS, and the game should have really been a blowout. The Seahawks couldn't really do much on offense. I thought that was one of my big keys to victory for the 49ers before the game. Don't allow the big play. Don't allow DK Metcalf. Don't allow Marquise Goodwin. Don't allow Tyler Lockett to get behind you for those big plays, because based on the regular season, Geno Smith will throw the ball down the field, but he didn't really do that this game because he didn't really have time to throw. Everyone along the defensive line was getting pressure on Geno. He was uncomfortable in the pocket, and Geno did not have his best day, but that's what the number one defense will do to you. So super juice that we got the win, though. Of course, super juice, we got the win. Let's see, we got a few comments. Seahawks Eddie says it was 2011 was the last time y'all swept. Okay. Yeah, I saw 2008. I saw 2011. But let's see. Cowboy Angel says, find the refs. I agree, man. I don't know what y'all doing. I don't see how Bosa could have done anything different unless you just want the defenders to just grab the quarterback and don't bring them down. It seems like that's what you kind of have to do, because otherwise, if you take them to the ground, there's a chance that you could get a penalty. So Cowboy Angel says unofficial stat 16 and a half. And I think you're referring to the amount of sacks that Nick Bosa has on the season. Yeah, it should be 16 and a half. I completely agree with that, Cowboy Angel. Should be 16 and a half. Now, there was some news that came out after the game. Let's get into some news right now. During the game, and well, actually, no, let's talk about this gentleman first. Javon Kinlaw. He hasn't played since week 3. Obviously, first round pick of the 49ers a few years ago. We drafted him 13th overall to replace DeForest Buckner. Unfortunately, that draft pick has not worked out. And I don't blame Javon Kinlaw, especially this offseason. He came into camp, in the best shape of his life, but his knee, it just not will allow him to play football at a consistently high level for weeks at a time. And the 49ers were aware of this when they drafted him, but we had to take the sting away from trading away, one of our best defensive linemen in DeForest Buckner. But the Javon Kinlaw draft pick has not worked out. But Kyle Shanahan did say that Javon Kinlaw is expected to practice this week. And, I'm optimistic, but I guess I'm cautiously optimistic. Like if he plays, I feel like it is, I should say, if he practices and he plays against Washington, I feel like it's house money, because I'm not really expecting too much from Javon Kinlaw. Now, obviously, it would be a big boost for this defensive line. The defensive line that's been playing so far has been playing pretty well. They've been able to slow down the running game. They've been able to get after the quarterback. Obviously, Armstead coming back has been huge for this team. Kerry Hyder, he has been playing on the defensive interior of the line. I think in 2020, when he led the team in sacks, Kerry Hyder was playing the edge rushing position, but now he's playing inside. So he's definitely helping in the interior of the defensive line. We signed T.Y. McGill a few weeks ago. We have Akeem Spence. So I think they've been playing well, but we are thin along that defensive line, I would say. Unfortunately, Kevin Givens is out, Hassan Ridgeway. We do have a few guys on the practice squad, but if Javon Kinlaw can come back, practice this week, and play, I think that would be a huge boost for this defensive line, especially going up against the Washington football team. We know they love to run the football. So wishing the best for Javon Kinlaw, but I'd be lying if I said I'm expecting him to contribute in a major way the rest of the season. We also have an update on Mooney Ward and Faithful Niner Empire. Can you say money well spent? I mean, this is, outside of CMC, this is the best, the most impactful free agent acquisition that we've had this offseason. Obviously, CMC was a trade in the middle of the season. I get that. But if we're talking about free agents and we're talking just about talent that was brought to the team this season, kudos to John Lynch and his staff for bringing in Mooney Ward. I mean, where would this team be without Mooney Ward? Yeah, because if Mosley's hurt, Jason Verrett is hurt. Obviously, Mooney Ward is the number one corner, and he did a hell of a job in shadowing and being physical with DK Metcalf. And DK Metcalf didn't really do much. Faithful. Let me pull up DK Metcalf stats real quick. He didn't really do much. He talks a lot, and no doubt he is a physical guy, but his physicality was matched by Mooney Ward. DK Metcalf, 7 catches, 55 yards on 9 targets. I'll take that any day. His longest catch of the day was only 13 yards. So kudos to Mooney Ward. Now, Mooney Ward during the game did suffer a concussion. Kyle Shanahan spoke about this after the game. Now, Shanahan said that Mooney Ward was cleared to go back into the game. He had gone through the test under the blue tent on the field. But for whatever reason, Shanahan said, I just didn't feel right about it. I'm going to leave Mooney Ward out, even though the Seahawks were only, down one touchdown from the 49ers. But kudos to Shanahan. He's looking out for the player. And I think more coaches need to do that. If it, even if he passes the protocol, but, you just have a feeling that I want to leave him out. And fortunately, Shanahan did do that because Mooney Ward did have concussion symptoms the following day. So on Friday, yesterday, he had, concussion symptoms. So clearly, Mooney Ward will be day to day, and hopefully he can play against Washington. I'm trying to remember, is this Mooney Ward's first concussion that he's had this season? For some reason, I want to say this is his second concussion. I know he had the groin injury earlier, but for some reason, I think this might be his second concussion. So that is a scary thing, and hopefully Mooney Ward will, be able to play. Hey, if he still has those symptoms, then obviously he won't be playing against Washington. But that's totally fine. Obviously, he's not only going to play unless he has no symptoms, and he's doing a okay. So that's some news that came out after the game about Mooney Ward. But what a hell of a signing by John Lynch. We also have some other news. Ambry Thomas, he's dealing with an injury, ankle injury. He's listed as day to day. Danny Gray, he's also listed with a hamstring injury. He's day to day. I believe both players played though against Seattle. And then, of course, Brock Purdy, he dealt with the oblique and rib injury. So, I mean, kudos to Brock Purdy. Faithful, I would love to hear what are you guys' thoughts about Brock Purdy and what you've seen so far. I think, a wise man once said, you never have a second chance to make a first impression. And Brock Purdy's first impression with the 49ers is, it's stellar. It's excellent. It's very good. Brock Purdy playing 4 years at Iowa State obviously has helped him now at the NFL level. He just looks comfortable. The moment is not too big for Brock Purdy. He looks poised in the pocket. Even when the blitz is in his face, he's able to step up, make throws. If he needs to run out of the pocket, he doesn't have Lamar Jackson speed. We know this, or Kyler Murray type feet, but hey, when he needs to get away from a defensive lineman, he can. And what does that do? That allows his wide receivers to a few more seconds to get open. That allows a running back to maybe change his route and move toward Brock Purdy. So I think Brock Purdy has played. I don't think he could have played better. Now, has he thrown an interception in 3 straight games? Technically, yeah. Technically, he has done that. I know 2 of those were, they were called back due to penalties. And in the game yesterday against Seattle, there was one pass that was dropped by the Seattle Seahawks defender, but that's going to happen every game. But I think I know Brock Purdy, he's a rookie, and I know that he will have some mistakes like that where he'll throw, like we used to call Jimmy no throws. He'll have some throws where you didn't see that linebacker there, but it's about the plays that Brock Purdy does make, the plays that he can make with his legs because he's a mobile quarterback. And I mean, he's been pretty well so far. I think he's got 6 touchdowns, 1 interception through his first 3 games. His quarterback rating is near 100. So I mean, that's pretty good. Faithful. Dare I say the offense looks better with Jimmy, or excuse me, dare I say the offense looks better with Brock. And I know it's a super small sample size, but Brock is making an impression, not only on the field with the fans, but also his teammates. Brock has earned the respect of his teammates. I'm kind of getting, I don't know how you feel, Faithful, but I'm kind of getting like a Nick Foles, Carson Wentz vibe with this team. Now, obviously, Foles was able to win a Super Bowl with the Eagles. We're not there yet with the Niners, but that would be somewhat of a Cinderella story if Mr. Irrelevant. And most Mr. Irrelevant players don't make the active roster. There are a few special teams players like kickers or punters who make the roster, but most I don't think I don't think there's ever been a quarterback to do what Brock Purdy has done. Start his career 3-0 as a Mr. Irrelevant player. Like That's pretty rare, Faithful. That is definitely rare. But that's the latest 49ers news. Ambry Thomas, Danny Gray dealing with injuries. Brock obviously is dealing with injury, and then of course, Mooney Ward is he's in the concussion protocol this week, so hopefully he'll be able to practice. In the next few days, and Javon Kinlaw is expected to be back at practice this week. Let's read some comments. We got Shay Martinez in the building. What's good? How you doing today, Shay? I hope all is well. Thanks for tuning in on a Saturday. Shay Martinez says, them dogs are making me a proud Niner faithful again. Yeah, I know, right? The season started off slow, but we are peaking at the right time. There's no doubt about that. KD providing an update on this Vikings and Colts game. It's getting close, KD. It looks like the Vikings might come back. But honestly, obviously, yeah, we'll be lucky to have the number 2 seed. Absolutely. Why not? Right. But I don't know about you, Faithful, but I'm not concerned about going to Minnesota. I'm not concerned about that at all. Kirk Cousins does not scare me. Justin Jefferson, now he's a beast. I'm looking forward to that matchup between him and Mooney Ward, but the Vikings defense is just not good. It's terrible. Like it's 100. They've allowed 100 more points than the Niners. Like, come on. So not really concerned about the Vikings, but hey, I'm still hoping that the Colts can, keep that lead, but we'll see. I appreciate the update though, KD. Let's see. I would love to hear from the faithful, the Niner Empire. Who on this 49ers offense stood out to you on Thursday night versus them good old Seattle Seahawks? Now, if I have to pick one player, I could go in a lot of different directions. I could go BP. I could go CMC. I could go Jawan Jennings, but I'm gonna go with George Kittle. You can't see him, but he's right up above me. What a performance by George Kittle. It is so good to see George Kittle get the targets that he so rightfully deserves. George Kittle, he only had 5 targets. He was second on the team in targets. He was tied for second most targets, but he had 4 catches, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. His longest catch of the day was 54 yards. And this is the George Kittle that the 49ers invested in. Obviously, we know George Kittle is a hell of a blocker, right? We know that. But it's always great to see him in the passing game. Granted, he was wide open on a few plays. He was wide open on a few plays. They were easy throws by Brock, no doubt about that. But it's just great to see Kittle out there performing and being, a top 2-3 tight end in the NFL. Obviously, it was great play calls by Kyle Shanahan. CMC had 26 carries. So obviously the defense was keying in on CMC. They were trying to slow down the running game. You run a little play action, you run a little bootleg, and bam, Kittle's wide open. So those were huge plays for the 49ers, and we needed someone to step up on the offensive side of the ball. There's no doubt we needed someone to step up against the Seattle Seahawks. We knew number 19, Debo. Oh, Debo. Oh, we knew Debo Samuel was out. So we knew we would have to step it up. Someone would have to step it up on this 49ers offense. We knew CMC would get a ton of touches. CMC, 26 carries, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. And also in the receiving game, he had 6 catches for 30 yards. So he had 32 touches, Faithful. We knew that was going to happen. But if you are in the comment section right now, feel free to let me know who stood out to you on the offensive side of the ball. But that was one of my questions I had before the game. Who would step up in Debo Samuel's absence? And obviously, we knew CMC would be a big part of this offense, but who else would step up? George Kittle, obviously, the 5 catches, 2 touchdowns. Jawan Jennings. I mean, I know, hey, if you're a fantasy person, Jawan Jennings, you probably don't want to pick on your team, right? He's not going to get a bunch of targets. He's not going to get that many touchdowns. But his catches are at crucial points in the game. Brock Purdy seems to be developing a rapport with Juwan Jennings, and he threw to him yesterday on a few third downs, and we were able to convert those to first down. So Juwan Jennings, you cannot underestimate his impact on this team. He's not going to be a pro bowler. He's not going to get all the accolades, but there's no doubt he is a beast when it comes to getting crucial catches in crunch time. So make no mistake about it. We had a lot of guys who stood up. We had a lot of guys who stepped up to the plate, in the game versus Seattle. And that's definitely what we needed since Deebo Samuel was out. But I would love to hear what the faithful think, who stood out in the game. All right, so let's see. John says, I'd say Kittle too. It seems Purdy has a better connection with Kittle than Jimmy G this season. That's a great point, man. That's a great point. I think I would love to see George Kittle. I would love to see George Kittle's stats prior to Jimmy G. I mean, I think he had a decent year. Let me look up George Kittle's stats real quick. Yeah, I mean, one of Kittle's best games when Jimmy G was at quarterback was the October 16th game versus the Atlanta Falcons. He had 8 catches, 83 yards. Versus the Chiefs, he had 6 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. And then versus the Cardinals, he had 4 catches, 84 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So I mean, I would say this has definitely been one of Kittle's best games in like his last 4 games. Versus the Saints, he only had 3 catches. The Fins, he had 2 catches. The Buccaneers, he had 4 catches. So I would say, yeah, this definitely is a game where he just had one of his best statistical games. That's for sure. Let's see. Cowboy Angel says underdog, but Jawan. Exactly. I mean, the guy was a 7th round draft pick. He got cut from the Niners, but he still continued to work hard. And everyone in the locker room respects Jawan. Like I said before, he's not going to get the Pro Bowl nod. He's not going to be in the press clippings in the newspaper. But anyone who's a Niner fan knows Jawan Jennings' impact, and he's clutch. I mean, he is clutch. When you throw him the ball, he's most likely going to come down with it. And it's great to see that you have a reliable target like that, in the receiving game. Cowboy Angel catches every third down. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And it seems like Jimmy G and Brock Purdy love to throw to him on third down. They can rely on him. John says we should have used Mason a bit more to help preserve CMC. Yeah. I think with the absence of Deebo, I think I could understand why CMC's workload was more. I think Shanahan believes in CMC more than Mason. I think everyone, could understand that, right? But I think Shanahan is like, hey, if we win this game, this will seal our playoff fate. We'll be in the playoffs if we win this game. So I think Shanahan was putting all his chips to the table and was like, hey, we need to win this game. Even if we lose the rest of our games, the next 3 games, we're still in the playoffs. We still are NFC West division champs. So I think he was going to run CMC till the wheels fell off, man. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, Jordan Mason, Mason couldn't get more than 4 carries. Come on, Kyle. Hey, Mason only had 4 carries. I think he had his carries like in the third or fourth quarter. He didn't even get in on the first half. But also, the 49ers don't play until December 24th. So we've got the next, 6 days off. I think this also went into, his decision making as well. Well, hey, we give him 26 carries, 6 catches in the passing game, and he'll have the next 6 days to rest. I mean, does CMC really need to practice? No. I mean, let's be real. He can have a vet day off like Trent Williams or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see Jordan Mason get more carries, of course, and maybe we'll see that versus a Washington game. But it'll be interesting because I believe the Washington Commanders are in the NFC playoff picture. Yeah. And let me pull that up on the screen right now. I think they are in because I think there's going to be 3 teams who can make the playoffs from the NFC East. Let me blow that up a little bit. So it looks like if the playoffs ended today, the Commanders would actually play the 49ers in the playoffs if the regular season ended today. But the Commanders, it'll be interesting to see what happens in this game versus the Commanders, on Christmas Eve. Looking at the playoff records now and the standings, obviously the Eagles get the first round bye. They have the best record in the NFC right now. The Vikings, they're staging a comeback versus the Colts right now. Hey, can anyone provide an update for that game? Go ahead, drop it off in the chat. Love to know. But what will the 49ers, how will the 49ers play versus the Commanders? And I ask this because we've won the NFC West. Yes, if we win out, we can increase our seeding to the number 2 seed instead of the number 3 seed. But how will this team play versus the Commanders, knowing that, hey, if we lose this game, it doesn't really matter. We're still in the playoffs. So that'll definitely be something to monitor, in the game versus the Commanders. We got SG Sports Talk channel in the building. What's good? How you doing today, SG Sports Talks? I appreciate everyone coming to my channel today on a Saturday afternoon. Y'all could have been doing anything else, but y'all decided to come down, click on my channel, and just say what's up to me. I appreciate it. And of course, we're talking about our 49ers. Feel free to hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. I appreciate that update, SG. Colts up by 8 against the Vikings. Appreciate that update. And clearly, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Because the Colts were winning like 33-0 at the end of the first half. So, hey, man, you got to be able to finish. You got to be able to play all 4 quarters. And hopefully Jordan Mason will get more carries. I mean, he had an uptick in carries the last few games, Jordan Mason did. But I think Shanahan was like, hey, man, I want to trust my guys. I want to be able to put the ball into the best ball carrier's hand. And we know that's CMC. But I just want to look up quickly Jordan Mason's stats because I felt like he was getting more carries the last few games. But I think Shanahan was like, hey, man, we need to win this game to secure a playoff berth. And he wanted to give it every carry to CMC. So let's see. So let's see the last 4 games. Jordan Mason. So against Arizona in the blowout, 4 carries, 14 yards. Against New Orleans, 5 carries, 25 yards. Against the Dolphins, 8 carries, 51 yards. And against the Tampa Bay, 11 carries, 56 yards. And then in yesterday's game, 4 carries. So he was getting more carries, and we'll see what happens in the last 3 games. I mean, obviously, I would say I would err on the side of caution and say, hey, let's give Jordan Mason more carries. Hell, even give Tevin Coleman more carries. I mean, we really don't need – we need to CMC fresh for the playoffs. That's what we need because Elijah Mitchell may not be back for the playoffs. So we need to have CMC fresh. So hopefully he won't have any more 20 carry games until the playoffs. Hopefully, we'll keep his usage, 15 to 17 touches a game for the rest out because we don't necessarily need to win these next 3 games. So we've got to talk about, and I will continue reading comments, of course, throughout the show, but we've got to talk about this stellar defense. What can you say from every level of the defense? There's a potential Pro Bowler, All Pro player. We look at this defensive line. Of course, we got Nick Bosa, leads the league in sacks, should be 16 and a half sacks, but the rest was Hayden. But Nick Bosa, All Pro player. He should be, I think, the defensive player of the year, but we'll see what comes to fruition. But Nick Bosa, All Pro player. At the linebacker position, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw could be the most improved player in the NFL. I think he and Fred Warner should be Pro Bowl players. I'd be surprised if both of them get the All Pro nods, but we'll see. I think one of them should definitely get an All Pro nod. You look at this secondary, you see Mooney Ward. He doesn't have a ton of interceptions, but he's one of the best tackling cornerbacks in the NFL. You look at Talanoa Hufanga. He's playing pretty well. Started off the season excellent, and kind of teetered off a little bit, but I think he's still playing at a Pro Bowl level. Jimmy Ward, he missed a few games, but he's playing really well. I mean, Tayshaun Gibson, now he probably won't get the Pro Bowl nod, but I mean, he's playing really well. This defense has not skipped a beat since Tayshaun Gibson was inserted into the lineup and Jimmy Ward, was hurt. So, just every level of this defense, Pro Bowl, All Pro players. We know the stats about the defense in the second half, basically averaging like less than 10 points that they've averaged on this win streak that the defense has given up in the second half. It's just incredible. Kudos to D'Amico Ryans. Kudos to John Lynch bringing in Mooney Ward, re-signing Dre Greenlaw. The second week of the season, like incredible moves. And of course, we've had to deal with injuries in the secondary. Demo Lenore has stepped up in the absence of Emmanuel Mosley and Jason Verrett. So, this defense is a sound defense. They will not let they try not to get beat over the top. And when we've seen that happen, usually it's blown coverage. Usually it's a player not really doing their job. They're trying to do something else. So, this is an incredible defense, all-time great defense for sure. And, I can't wait to see them in action, especially the rest of the regular season and in the playoffs. Can we keep this up? We're peaking at the right time. I think as long as we can stay healthy, Javon Kinlaw may come back. Man, and speaking of the defensive line as well, Eric Armstead should get some Pro Bowl consideration. Samson should get some. They don't have the huge stats, but they definitely flash, when you're watching the game, that's for sure. So, yeah, just Pro Bowl, All Pro player levels at every level of this defense. Who stood out to you in the game versus the Seahawks? Now, Dre Greenlaw always stands out to me. Forcing the fumble. That was a huge play, Faithful. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That was a huge play. I think the score was only 7-3. End of the first half. I think there's maybe like 4 minutes or less in the first half. Geno Smith throws a pass to Travis Homer. I forgot who initially made contact with Homer, but that player made contact with Homer, and then Dre Greenlaw comes in and just hits the football. It squirts out. I think Mooney Ward picks it up and runs it back. And that was a huge play. That was a momentum-changing play right there. Demo Lamore led the team with tackles with 10 tackles, so that was great. We got sacks from Bosa, Samson, and Huff. Also, they had a few quarterback hits. I think, let's see, how many times did we hit the quarterback? We hit the quarterback 9 times. So that's why Geno Smith was tap dancing in the pocket. Geno Smith was not comfortable in the pocket, and that's due to the pressure that we created. So, man, just incredible defense. I'll say who stood out to me. I'm gonna go with Dre Greenlaw. Just his physicalness. always around the ball carrier, and that goes for this entire defense. Like whenever a player gets tackled, they get the ball, they get tackled. There's always more than one guy tackling him. There may be one guy who initially hits the ball carrier, but then you see 3 or 4, 5, 6 other guys come along and hit the ball carrier. So that's definitely good to see. This is a great tackling team. I think there was a stat on the broadcast where they were saying that the 49ers give up the least amount of yak among all 32 NFL teams. So when you catch the ball, you're getting hit, you're getting taken to the ground. And that's amazing that this defense is that great. Let's read a few comments. And Faithful, feel free to let me know in the comment section who stood out to you on this 49ers defense versus the Seattle Seahawks. Let's see. SG says thoughts on Jeff Saturday. It'll be interesting to see if he remains the head coach for the Colts. I would be shocked if that comes to fruition, but we'll see what happens. Let's see. I'll definitely get back to you on that, SG Sports Talk. Let's see. Jesus says, I want a Davis Price help out CMC and Mason. Yeah. For whatever reason, that's another third-round draft pick that has not panned out yet. TDP, I think he must not be excelling in practice, because I don't understand why he won't get carries in the game. I'm trying to think, did the Niners, who was the other running back for the Niners in Seattle? I know only CMC and Jordan Mason got carries, but I know we had to have had at least one more running back on the active roster. It seems like right now the Niners are more in favor of Tevin Coleman over TDP. That's what it seems like right now. But in order to really get some burn, I mean, we've seen it. Jordan Mason barely gets burned. It's CMC or nothing, it seems like, for this team at times. Hopefully that'll change a little bit in the last 3 weeks of the season. We got to keep CMC fresh. But I agree. I would love to see TDP, but I think if you're going to make this active roster on game day, you're going to have to bring it in practice. You're going to have to excel. You're going to have to make plays in practice because he is the low man on the depth chart right now. Hey, Jesus, is Kinlaw done as a 49er? What a great question, Jesus. I would say he's been a disappointment so far, and it's unfortunate. And he's on a 4-year deal. So I think the 49ers, it's interesting. I wonder why. Oh, yeah, it's a 4-year deal, but I think it's a 5th-year option. I don't think there's any way in hell the 49ers will sign his 5th-year option. I don't see that happening. He's got 1 year left for the 2023 season. And I don't think the 49ers re-sign him. I just don't I don't see that happening. And it sucks because he's talented, but unfortunately he can't stay healthy. So I don't see Javon Kinlaw signing an extension after his contract is already up. I don't see it. I think I see the 49ers definitely drafting more defensive tackles in the upcoming draft. I know we have Khalil Davis, who's recovering from a torn ACL. Eric Armstead is still on a long-term contract with us. I think all the other defensive tackles have 1-year deals. So I think we'll always be in the veteran free agent defensive tackle. We'll sign guys, but I definitely think we need to replenish the interior of the defensive line. And Samson Bucum is a free agent after this year. It'll be interesting if the 49ers re-sign him. I know we have Drake Jackson, so that'll be interesting, as well. Let's see. Yes, Cowboy Angel, correct. Omen Wayhue has been playing inside as well, and that was another great trade that the 49ers did in acquiring him from the Houston Texans. I think that was last year. So yeah, that was another great trade. Cowboy Angel says we have a great rotating cast on the D line, top of the league. Absolutely. Completely agree. Jesus says Drake Jackson hasn't been the presence as anticipated. Well, I would say this. My expectations for Drake Jackson, I didn't think he was going to, terrorize the league when he, got his snaps. I thought he would be a solid pass rusher. It's going to take time for him to develop. I think he is one of the most productive rookies at his position, though. I would say that, he gets batted balls, he gets pressures, but, I didn't think he would jump on the scene and be like an Alden Smith. I didn't think that. Obviously, he is our top pick, but hey, he's going to have to continue to work and get better. And hopefully we will see, you know, hopefully we will see him year after year continue to improve. That's all we can really ask for. If Samson doesn't resign here, then I would pencil in Drake Jackson as a starter, but I wouldn't be surprised if we brought in another veteran defensive end, no doubt. Whoa, of course. I appreciate that update, KD. Looks like the Vikings have come back to tie it up with the Colts. Wow. What a what a nightmare. You're up 33-0. Wow. In the first half, and you let the Vikings come back. Wow. That's crazy. Cowboy Angel says they take the mantra swarm quite literally. No, absolutely. Damian Lee, what's good? What's good, D Lee? He says, what's good, Niner Faithful? Jesus says, who stood out to him on defense was Mooney Ward covering Metcalf. Yeah, I mean, he basically shut down Metcalf. Did he allow some catches? Yeah, but Metcalf did not have a significant impact on this game. That's for sure. No touchdown catches. His longest catch was only 13 yards. So I agree, Jesus. Chris Smith says it's his day, and bro about to lose a game where he was up 33-0. Yeah, I mean that's pretty bad as a head coach. You're up 33-0, and you allow the team to come back. That's pretty putrid, if you ask me. SG Sports Talk. Brock Purdy stood out to me in the Seahawks versus 49ers games. Absolutely, he's efficient. He looks comfortable. He looks poised. The moment is definitely not too big for Brock. And he he's delivering accurate throws. There's no doubt about that. Jesus says CMC, Mitchell, and Mason seems like a great 1-2-3 punch combo. You know what? I don't know about Mitchell, and I got to be honest. Like the guy gets banged up. He gets hurt. Like he's been hurt on 3 separate occasions. So 2 times this year, and he got hurt last year, I believe. So he's got that injury bug. It's kind of hard to really rely on Elijah. And I think the 49ers will probably either draft another running back, but hopefully on day 3, or pick up a veteran free agent, because obviously we know Shanahan wants to run the ball, but I don't know if we can really rely on Elijah Mitchell. I don't know if we can really do that. The guy gets banged up. So last year he played 11 games. This year he only played 4. So that's not a good trend. That trend is going south. So that's definitely not what you want. But hey, if all 3 guys are healthy, absolutely, it's a good 1-2-3 punch. But guys got to be healthy. Yeah, Maurice Hurst, unfortunately, he's been banged up the last 2 seasons. Jesus says Niners had a chance to draft Justin Jefferson in that. Yeah. I mean, but a lot of teams could have drafted Justin Jefferson. I think he was like a high 20 draft pick, I believe. So, going back in that draft, he easily should have been like a top 3 pick. I agree with you, SG Sports Talk. Dre Greenlaw stood out to me in the Seahawks game versus the defense. I completely agree. I completely agree. We got 49ers and Rockets Rider. What's good? Appreciate you coming into the stream today. Feel free to hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe for 49ers content. He says, damn it, I can't believe the Colts let the Vikings come back on them. I want 49ers to get the number 2 seed. I agree. I do want them to get the number 2 seed, but yeah, that's crazy. That's what they say, man. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. I mean, the Colts, you still gotta play. And you let a team score 36 straight points. That's crazy. But hey, the 49ers are NFC West champions. It's only the third time we've done that in the last 10 years. And I believe, is that the first time in Shanahan's era? No, this is the second time in Shanahan's era that we won the NFC West. So incredible news. Can't wait to see the Niners versus Washington Commanders game Christmas Eve. That's going to be a hell of a game. And you can come back on the J and the Bay channel on Monday night after the Monday night game, usually around 8:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have the Straight Out of the Bay stream going on. It'll be myself, Kelps Chronicles, Bay Area Baller 18, and Amin the Dream. We'll be back on Monday night at 8:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I appreciate everyone who came in just to say, what's good? Especially on a Saturday afternoon when y'all could be doing any number of things. I appreciate everyone checking in, saying what's good. I will see you guys next time, hopefully Monday night with the Straight Out of the Bay stream. Let's see, today's Saturday. Yeah, that'll probably be the next time I'll stream, Monday night. But thanks for rocking with me tonight. Go Niners. 3 more games to go. Let's get these dubs. I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Niners.